want to make the craziest of gains in crypto, you can buy whatever's hot and it'll probably do well. If of course the market's right, which luckily for you right now is. But what if I were to tell you there are certain things you can do to increase the odds a little bit, to give your probability of success another massive boost? How would that be, you might ask? No, it's not by just sending a random guy money. That's never a smart thing to do. No, it's not by sending me money. Please don't do that. I will never ask you for funds. It is by joining coins before they even launch. And now that might sound kind of crazy, but the idea for the most part is just, let's say we have a company and the company's got a really good product, or the company's got some additional pretty juicy investors. You want to get into that company as soon as humanly possible, because the more time that goes by, the more products that they make, the more notoriety they get around the world, the hotter that company would be, the more expensive each share would be, as an idea, as a concept. And here it's kind of similar, quite different, but still kind of similar. We want to get into these coins that we think are going to do really well over time as early as possible before the masses catch on, because that's the way to get the absolute highest multiplier on them. And I've done a video like this multiple times. I'm telling you right now, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because you should not be missing these type of videos, because we're literally talking about turning $1,000 into $1 million over the span of a couple of launches. Not a joke. Not, oh, I can double my money in a year. No, we're talking about going from 1,000 to 100,000 in a few months. That type of crazy behavior. And I know many people don't think it's real, but just in this case here, we'll let the results speak for themselves. And if you want more info about how to exactly join, I want to see those likes high, just very, very high, because it's a lot of effort and I don't really gain anything. So with this, at least I kind of justify it as, I'll just name a list of different things. You go figure it out. If you guys want a full in-depth tutorial, I'll get it for you. Make sure those likes are up, and I'll bring it out today even. Crazy. And trust me guys, I'll be naming a lot of projects here, because some of them might be too hard to get into. Some of them you might be too late for. But these are all the projects I've got on my radar or have already invested in that should just go on your radar as well. 𝗬𝗎 being number one. No particular order, number one just being the first one. I'll just tell you this, with the guys they've got on board, this could be one of the biggest launches in a long time. I'll also leave a link down below, because apparently whoever you refer, I just checked it out, I just see it in the pin post actually, you get 10 coins. Or no, 5 coins for each person you refer, and you get 10 coins for just signing up, so it might be worth it. What if it's worth, you know, $20 or something? The reason I say that to people is because I know some professional testnet farmers now. People who don't really spend any money, just interact with all these protocols and earn a lot. But it takes time. It takes knowledge. For the most part, it's effort. This, it might just be, sometimes it's true, right? It might just be $1,000 you get for absolutely free. Probably not. Probably it's not that significant. But then again, 20 bucks for 3 minutes of work sometimes can be very nice. One that's going very much under the radar, I think many people don't know about this, is 𝗂𝗂. Again, one of the killers in the RWA field, but I feel like they're going for the under the radar approach. But I know what they've got cooking up, and this is not a joke, ladies and gentlemen. But some projects, they do that. They go for a very, very soft approach to make sure it doesn't get too much hype just before the launch, and then they build out strong. Anyway, the RWA field is so juicy that it's just always smart to look into most of those coins. But I can just tell you that I know these guys know what they're doing, and you do the rest of the research. Now, a simpler one. I gotta tell you, this one is too simple. Gamified liquidity solution and marketplace for digital assets, tokens, and RWAs on Blast backed by Animoca. Man, this has already been way too much hype, so I can't put this one back into the box. I think by now, probably everybody's heard about Easy. I've talked about it many times over on X already, and all I can say is, if you've not done it yet, just spend a little bit of time to look into it. I think it's going to be a banger of a launch, a really, really good one. But also over time, I think this project could do really, really well. And by the way, just to give you guys some idea, very often these projects go on to different launch pads. For example, Easy's token IDO, initial DEX offering, has already been announced at Ape Terminal, which is a launch pad. And I think as well, if you use this launch pad, you might eventually get some of their tokens, because they're going to go for a token at some point. I actually expected them to release a token already like weeks ago, but you know, give it a little bit of time. Having said that, actually, now that I think about it, everything Blast related, like we just talked about with Easy, it's such a good opportunity because it's very new, it's very hot. Those guys combine it with RWA, these guys are combining it with leverage, which is also where a lot of money lies. But specifically just the Blast narrative, many projects have that potential to be the first mover with massive, massive gains whenever they go for a token. And sometimes you don't know for sure if they're gonna go for a token, but when they do, it's usually very, very big. I don't know, I just think EasyX is another one to watch out for. One of my favorite projects over on Blast, at least in the upcoming phase. You understand what I mean? There are also some projects that I talked about quite recently that I just want to quickly say again. For all of you that were watching these videos before, there were a ton of different ways to get into Playbucks. It's launching the April 23rd. If this one doesn't do well, that I don't know anymore. Because, I mean, they took a long time to list. I think the beginning, it was supposed to list already like in February or so. And so it's like a couple months out, which to some extent is not so nice. But I think the moment that this hits the markets, it's going to be a crazy, crazy time. And I think from that perspective as well, most of these coins that have got a gamified approach to get points nowadays, I've talked about that many times when it comes to these airdrop tutorials, they've really got an advantage right now because a lot of people are looking it up. I mean, whenever I look at Twitter, for example, the amount of people I see talking about 𝗓𝗏 is just insane. And that's because they've got a really, really successful viral campaign going on. But you know, I'm just telling you as well, if you haven't done it yet, if there's a way in, get yourself a way in, do the research, do the work, put in the effort, because if there's any way you can go onto their website or whatever and farm points, just do it. Like it's hard to not get a good yield out of just farming the points. Whatever you need to do, it's probably worth it because I think 𝗓𝗏, the way they've set up their launch, it's going to be a good one. Again, my own thoughts, right? Not financial advice, but I think so. And once more, I'm just going over coins that have not launched yet. But if I just went over some of these coins that we invested into quite recently, then you'll probably understand why I'm telling you guys to put in all the effort to research everything. Go to all the launch pads, go to CoinList, wherever, and start going crazy. With these guys, I just know there's almost no way it's going to fail. The only problem is, when is it finally going to launch, right? When is finally time? But these guys have built such a smart product. What if you could monetize every second a user spends with your content? They're monetizing the crap out of it. Obviously, that's where a lot of money lies. And I've described before that when I'm now talking about launches, if you can't get in early, still like launch time, probably like a week or two afterwards, or a few hours, a few days. It depends on the launch. Is usually a pretty good time to stack up because very often, unless they've done massive raises, very often the price does do pretty well a little bit afterwards. And many of my friends, what they do is they wait for the launch. They don't buy instantly because that's hard. If you know how to do it, you're making billions already. If you don't know how to do it though, it's hard. But they wait for a bigger dip when a lot of the early investors sell off. Then they buy hard because they know usually the price recovers pretty well throughout the next couple of hours or days. And guys like 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 always say, try to buy a few weeks after the launch because if it's a good project, it'll keep doing well over time. But at the start, a lot of the early investors do sell. Just to give you guys some idea, right? A while back, I talked about Starter and how I thought it was one of the craziest launches, or it was going to be, right? Because that's like 3 months ago when I talked about it. And I don't know how much they did, but I think it's been one of the craziest launches of the year. But even now, it's still, in my own humble opinion, not financial advice, wise to get in because if these guys are focusing on base, which for the most part they are, yeah, base is going to, I should follow them. Base is going to, I think, still 10 or 100x from here. It's a good chance that Starter is also just going to keep expanding out and out and out. Again, my thoughts, you can call me stupid, but it does make sense for Starter, even though it already launched, right, to still do another 10x or so from here over time. I really wouldn't be too surprised, even though anybody who got into this early is already up a ton. And I think they launched also on their own Launchpad, but let's just see for fun. If you got into it early, I think that might be about a 12x or so, because the price here went from 2 cents to roughly 23. Then again, we have to keep in mind that this might have not been the price that people bought at. This might just be the launch price, but still a roughly 10x or so from the list price as well, meaning anybody could have bought at the start, right? Starter. This is the 1 hour chart. The first hour, you could have still easily bought at 4 cents. You can see right now sitting at 23 cents just a few days later. You understand where I'm coming from? Where, for example, some people say, hey, you know, wait for a very big dip. Here, the price dipped down, let's see, roughly 65% or so. And when the price is down a lot, they try to buy in. Because if you bought that dip, then still you would have been up roughly 217% here in a very short amount of time. This is like 3, 4, 5 days. But honest truth, guys, there's many different sorts of projects that I think will do really, really well. On the one end, you might just go for things which are just very hyped up. On the opposite side, I don't think it's that crazy to just go for projects that have a really good goal in mind. For example, Commonwealth, as you can see right here, early stage VC access for the 99%. So basically, what we're talking about here, investing into projects early, which in a lot of countries is hard because they don't want you to make money, done in a really smart way. Yeah, I mean, I think anybody looking at this is like, damn, that's good. I can't fully tell you how it works, how they make it so available to everybody, but it's amazing that they found a way to do that. Yeah, signals that it'll inevitably almost do really well. Again, my thoughts, right? Then again, on the opposite side, there are also so many projects out there that are just in a niche that makes too much sense. I mean, if you're in the Web3 gaming and you've got the right people on board, which the guys at Arcade, for example, have, Arcade to Earn to be specific. For example, going here on ChainGPT or even on Seedify, really going on Seedify. You know, the platform for gaming, by the way, to get into gaming projects early very often. It's like almost a recipe for success every single time. But again, you have to kind of understand the narrative. You kind of have to understand from experience, from watching a lot of these launches, which of them have the right parameters. I'm just sharing with you guys a couple out of so many that I'm looking into that I think could do really, really well. But once more, I'm showing you 1 out of every 4, and I personally have the approach of you better just go for a lot of things which look bullish, because one of them you'll hit big on. Some have more the approach of no, just focus on very, very little amounts and go hard on those, but often that can also be difficult. And it's not like I'm not joining memes, by the way. Even memes I personally think are really quite interesting. And yes, I've made a mistake by going a little bit too crazy on memes sometimes, but ultimately I think if you look at your EVs, it's still a pretty good one to just go for most of the ones that have got really good hype. Or like I said earlier, just go for narratives, man. I mean, whole Bitcoin protocol with the halving coming up so shortly on things like Trex, it just makes sense also. Trex is revolutionizing and pioneering in GameFi built on Bitcoin protocol. Yeah, I mean, how many things can you say built on Bitcoin include games? It's almost nothing. So again, if they've got a little bit of a first mover advantage, you don't have to be the first, but one of the first is good enough, because obviously the space will grow by 100-fold if you ask me. So being one of the first with good hype, with good partners, bullish. Having said that though, let me give this a little follow here. Like, there are multiple projects out there that have just got the future unlocked. And what I mean, for example, Rune's terminal. As runes come along for Bitcoin, yeah, there's a good chance that there's going to be the need of a Launchpad. And Rune's terminal got that on lock. Let me also give that one a follow. Maybe check them out if you haven't done it yet. Again, if you're going for these type of projects, what you're mostly going for is the near future. Runes obviously are not even here yet, but they're coming. And if it does well, it mostly does extremely well, which is why sometimes these plays are worth it. Looking through my list here, guys, I've also noticed, I think the most popular area that I'm personally going for is games. And I think it's because of my previously explained philosophy of whatever's going to be hottest for the general Joe, for the people. Most people, if I talk about runes here, they don't really understand. They're like, what is that exactly? But when it comes to games or gaming hubs, like games, I'm not sure how you pronounce this, Games 3, Game 3s? I guess just games.gg. Anybody reading this understands. Home of Web3 gaming. What does it do? Well, it's the home of Web3 gaming. Is that bullish? Yeah, because it's the home of Web3 gaming. And so if they got the right partners, if they're gonna partner with the right guys, it's almost inevitable for these things to do well. Now this one, matter of fact, actually here might already be launching in, so just I think 2 days from now. So I'm very happy I got the video in today. Just to tell you guys again, what I'm focusing on, what I'm looking at, what I'm thinking. I know it's not potentially enough for you guys to fully get everything here, but hopefully at least it gives some idea. Because yeah, looking at my list here, there's so many games. A 5v5 technical hero shooter game, Blood Loop. Once more, if I see that little, again, honest truth, right? If I see that little 𝗕 tag, I would always go for it, because from a risk reward perspective, it's almost always pretty awesome. Estate X, just see it over on 𝗕 again. Yeah. Just RWA, pretty, I guess, easy to see by the name here. Yeah, if you don't like it, I don't know why not. There's some others though on completely different angles as well. And I guess another thing I'm really liking, as I said earlier with the whole Launchpads, is just everything Launchpad related on every single protocol. So you want to find on Solana, you want to find that do specific things for specific sort of projects. So 𝗕 for games. Soulstorm here saying the fully automated IDO platform on Solana. Join us for exclusive IDO opportunities. Just like I said with 𝗕, Soulstorm is another one that has the potential to make it really, really big, because people need the coin to participate. So if they go for a coin, that is probably going to do really, really well over time. Just like I said earlier with Starter, the Launchpad game is awesome. Man, just looking at it, there's too many good things. I should have categorized them a little bit better. I'm going a little bit all over the place, I know. Photon, the modular layer 2 on Bitcoin. If you see Bitcoin and layer 2 in the same sentence, and you're not automatically thinking, because it's kind of weird, right? A Bitcoin layer 2, what is that supposed to be? The ones doing it right, the ones grasping the concept most properly, but just most importantly, doing it right, will all be such bangers. And Photon is one of the best in the game as of this point. Give it a little look and let me know if you disagree. Even as I was looking up some concepts, I even saw another project that I think, but there's so many, man. There's so many that will go huge. But here's, for example, OrdiSwap. OrdiSwap brings dynamic AMM infrastructure to BRC20. Yeah, you need that. And there's going to be some projects which will absolutely pop off. Might as well be OrdiSwap, because again, back in the guys they know, etc., etc. You sometimes don't know which one's going to do it. But then again, if there's a 100x potential, might as well try, might as well take a look around, might as well try to buy early. Again, my thoughts. Now, specifically the OrdiSwap, I think it's already launched itself, but they're going for a second token because they're working on so many different things. And that one would be called RIOS. Anyway, a lot of cool things coming up. And now looking at, guys, I'm overwhelmed. I think I should just ask you guys if you'd like to see it, or you find these type of videos useless, because I know personally that if somebody else out there were to make a video like this, it'd be the most valuable thing ever. But you need to know what you're looking for. For example, if I'm telling you right now, IONET, absolutely amazing. These guys will do really, really well. It's so hot, makes sense. Somebody out there will be like, okay, let me find out every single way I can either interact, use the project or use the protocol, find a way to invest. Sometimes there isn't, but try to find a way. While another person says, it's not simple, skip. And that's where I'm thinking, probably a lot of people watching this thinking, they have no idea where to start, which is why I think, I should make a video more about these launch pads and how to actually go through all the steps. And I keep stalling it, so perhaps tomorrow. But for all of you that do know, I think it just really, really helps when I pinpoint which projects I'm personally looking into. Because let's say I get 1,000 projects thrown at me in a week. Okay, a little bit less, but you understand the idea. Let's say there's 200 projects a week. You have to filter down to, let's say, 7, maybe 15 or so. And so let's say out of the 5,000 that we've seen, you only go for, let's say, 150. It's some very rigorous process of basically only keeping the best of the best, where still there's a small chance to fail. But with IO, for example, it doesn't make sense for it to do bad. So if you can, like I always say, go to the website, try to work with it in every way, shape, or form possible. I described it before, because what if they go for some sort of airdrop of sorts and it's just $1,000 or whatever that you get? You don't know, but I'm just saying, hey. Another good example here is if they've got test nets, meaning you can do things for free. Very often here, they've gone to season 2. You can get rewarded for just being involved. It doesn't cost you any money. All it takes is some knowledge and some time. But sometimes it can be tens of dollars, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars you get for free for being early and being involved with these protocols. Goal here, built on Manta, layer 3. There's no chance that they're going to let people who interact go unrewarded. The only question is, how much will it be worth? But to me, if you're making a routine out of interacting with so many of these protocols, and you just keep connecting, keep doing that, then even though one might only pay you out, what, $60 or so, if you've been on the game with many of these protocols, let's say it averages out to be $60 a day, all of a sudden that's $1,800 a month. But then over time, the value of all those coins can also be up tremendously, meaning it was not only 18, it was actually $3,600 a month, for example. But then as you now sell some of these coins, you get capital to invest in new things, and all of a sudden, instead of $3,600, which you got from the month of grinding after a while, you all of a sudden can invest it somewhere, it becomes worth even more. You just got to start out somewhere, though. And this is mostly for the people that have time but don't have the money. And what I meant with that is that at that point, if you've got loads of money and it's mostly just about knowing where to place it, these things are only nice for you understanding how to do it. But let's say after 3 hours of work, you get $60, for example. To a lot of people, that just ain't worth it. Let's say it costs you 10 hours. If you're doing it for the experience, that's nice. Because ultimately, this crypto space will only grow. You figuring out how to do this stuff is worth a ton, especially so early. Then again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm still also so super bullish on AI. Like literally half the AI projects though have to throw them out the window because there's so many, and there's so many scammers out there who just put on the buzzword AI and they're like, yes, we got a good product. Doesn't work like that. You gotta filter the garbage from the good. Sharp AI, I think, is gonna be an absolute banger. If it doesn't, I'll be very, very much surprised. And similarly in the gaming field, man, honestly, you know how many games are garbage? And that's because they understand the narrative that I keep explaining to you. Gaming is such an easy win, such an easy victory, that everybody wants to make a game. You have to filter the garbage from the good. Pixelverse, again, in my personal opinion, in the good area. I kind of also always notice from the people that follow it if this is a properly backed project or not. And by the way, I'll add as well that many projects out there can't easily be bundled under one sector, but you just know from experience will do well. Lightlink is an Ethereum layer 2 blockchain that lets DApps and enterprises offer users instant gasless transactions. There's a lot of FUD. Oh, Base will do that too. Or Base is nearly gasless. The idea here is so big, but that's one part. The backing is the most important part. And as of this point, people have got it unlocked, so I'm excited. That's all I'll say. Anyway, I think I'm gonna cut this video short. It's almost been 20 minutes, and I literally have only gone over half of a list I wanted to include in this video. But I just wanna kinda know from you guys if this is something you're interested in, or if it's completely useless to you. And if you want repeats of projects I've already covered. For example, I said, man, if I had to name something that I think will do well, almost guaranteed, I'd say Favor is one of them. But I've already, I think, talked about it 3 times maybe over the past couple of months, and they've still not launched. I mean, I can keep talking about it because I personally think if you need to focus on something, focus on the ones that have a 99, okay, can't say that, right? But have a really, really high degree of doing good or high percentage chance. Favor in my top, I'm gonna say, yeah, top 3 projects that are up gonna come in. If Favor does bad, I have to like, I don't know. I have to really calm down for a little second because it doesn't make sense. When Binance. No, but yeah, I really love these guys. Good peoples as well. I'm not even following them. Let me fix that. No, but all jokes aside, amazing guys behind it. The app and the concept makes sense. If this fails, then I don't know. And there's actually one more that I hold in such high regard. And I already told you guys multiple times that you need to take time out of your day and check this out, especially if you're into DeFi. Because I think now, Some more protocols might be copying this concept, but like it says in the little bio right there, Mintrust is a cross-chain DeFi lending protocol that redistributes 100% of the value captured back to users. I described in depth before exactly what that means, but basically they're giving more money back to people they could have also just kept for themselves, like 9 out of 100 protocols do. They are officially, I think, the first to implement it, but perhaps now as time progresses and the idea is known, others might do it too. It might take a couple years though for some of the big protocols to implement it, if ever, because they want to keep that money. And I think at the end of the day, it's only just fair for them to do so, or to give it back. They'll make money other ways. And again, in my own personal humble opinion, it's that huge. If they're doing it and they get the traction, and we can see from the numbers that they've been getting a lot of good traction, but also now I noticed there might be some ways for you to get some free Mantle perhaps, or Mintrust. Gonna be honest with you, it's a little bit confusing if you're gonna get Mantle or Mintrust. Also some of the biggest guys in the game on board. I very much hope one day I'll find a little DustyBC logo here, but who knows, right? Again, no joke, I love these guys. I think what they're building is amazing, but for the most part also the people behind it. I tell you one thing right now, if I could give you one tip, right, in the crypto space, it's trust people more than technology. And what I mean with that is obviously don't take a step back. Don't trust people on the internet. But I mean mostly it's the people that make the project, not the project itself. You can literally have the best idea in the world, but if you don't have the manpower, or I guess the brains to really put everything properly together, you've still got nothing. Or if you got a working product, it's amazing right now, but you don't have the right people in it, it'll never grow. It'll always stay the same, which means irrelevancy rather quickly. Again, it's just a little food for thought, especially when it comes to crypto. The most important thing projects need to do is keep innovating, keep expanding, and keep the attention on it. And that's why I see many of these old protocols going for a V2, a V3, a V4, just keeping up, even though some people might think it's never needed. It's to keep the relevancy, it's to keep the hype, it's to keep the excitement. But also because if we take a look at Ethereum, for example, what is Ethereum good at? Almost nothing. It's just really, really popular. If Ethereum really sat still though, it would be so expensive, so stupid, have nothing. People would just move on to new layer ones that still have the same functionality. People did, but that would, now it's like, let's say half the people switched over and most people actually switched to layer 2s. If they never innovated, layer 2s weren't even coming around, for example, yeah, Ethereum would definitely have been garbage by now. Anyway, those are just some food for thoughts. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little crypto update. Those are my thoughts, and that's about it.